Hi, I'm Mike Gridley and welcome to PowerBoat Television. This week on the show we're going to be cruising in Cape Breton, specifically the Bredore Lake area. And we're going to start our cruise here from the Lennox Passage Yacht Club in Discus on Ile Madame. So stay with us as our flotilla gets ready to head across to the canal leading into Bredore Lake. Several old friends and some new ones had once again volunteered to host our crew in Nova Scotia. Robbie Craig had trailered a new Monterey from Quartermaster Marine in Prince Edward Island, and Terry Conrad and Brad Fleet trailered in Terry's Boston Whaler. New to the flotilla was Patrick Villeneuve of Mermaid Marine, who had cruised over from Charlottetown in his classic Bertram 38. Several members of the yacht club joined up with us as escorts for a trip across Lennox Passage to St. Peter's Bay. At the head of the bay, under the darkening skies, we reached the entrance to St. Peter's Canal and idled into the canal, waiting to be locked through. St. Peter's, a National Historic Site, was the site of Fort St. Pierre, a 17th century fort and trading post. The 800-meter canal was opened in 1869 after 15 years of construction, connecting the Atlantic with Bredore Lake. Due to the light rain, we were grateful that passage through the lock that balances the tides between the lake and the ocean did not take long. Once clear of the canal, we turned port into St. Peter's Yacht Club, our stop for the night. The next morning, I huddled with Pat Nelder and Patrick to work out our plans for our limited time on Bredore Lake. Bredore Lake is a vast inland sea covering 1,100 square kilometers. Being a unique and special place, it was declared a biosphere reserve by UNESCO to recognize its distinct ecosystem. Wasn't that an awesome view? Well, not for us. Our second day in Cape Breton was mist-shrouded and damp. Not discouraged, we headed out to weave our way through the islands and bays to the more open water of the lake where we could pick up the pace. So Pat, this is gorgeous. Where are we here?
Cape George.
Cape George.
Cape George is the first bay before St. Peter's Inlet, and it's one of the most beautiful anchorages on the Bredore Lakes. The bird life here is phenomenal. You can see there's a heron just over there, going across there. It's cruising sailors love it. You can see there's a Valiant just sitting there. God knows where he's from. But it's a beautiful, beautiful anchorage and very protected.
Yeah, it's very well sheltered. It's absolutely dead calm in here.
And you can take your small boat and you can explore these little arms of the Cape George Inlet as well.
It's too bad we couldn't stay. Too bad we have to move on, but there's so much more to see. Departing that perfect anchorage, the weather began to improve as we circled West Bay, taking in the scenery and cottages on the shores. Finally, the true meaning of Bredore Lake, arms of gold, was shining through. With the sun shining, it was time for a break, and Pat had brought us to the perfect location. We've just beached our boats here on Crammon Islands. Great beach with the stern here in almost 30 feet of water. So we're going to enjoy a lunch break, but later in the show we'll be back with more cruising highlights from Bredore Lake. Welcome back to the show. We've just wrapped up lunch here on Crammon Islands, and we're going to head back out onto the water. We're going to first cruise over here to Marble Mountain, check out the sights over there, and down the East Arm after that to Ben Eoin, our stop for tonight. So stay with us, enjoy some of the great sights of Bredore Lake. Crossing to Marble Mountain, you begin to appreciate its vast size, and it is really an inland sea with about 60 to 70% of the salinity of the ocean. Surrounded by the rolling hills, forests and farms of Cape Breton, this is a must-do for any serious boater.
Easily spotted well off the lake's southwest shore, the old marble quarry stands above the village. Boaters are drawn here for the white sand and gravel beach below the lakeside cliffs. The coloring of the sand and gravel gives the water a tropical green appearance in certain light conditions. Getting up on plane, we had a great run inside Cameron Island and around to Little Harbour. On the chart plotter and approach, it looks insignificant, but past the entrance, the harbour opens up, providing room for cruising sailboats and some of the luxury yachts that arrive on the lake from Europe, the US, and the Caribbean. Sun high in the sky, it was time to make the 25 nautical mile run to Ben Eoin, where the conditions were ideal. Ben Eoin Yacht Club and Marina is a relatively new facility with a well-protected basin, excellent docks, helpful staff, and a great clubhouse. The crew was happy that the weather held and spent some time relaxing on the docks and exploring the marina. Our hosts had organized a barbecue for our crew and members, so while they were busy with the grill, Brad showed me how to prepare fresh crab.
These are locally caught snow crab caught off the coast here by Sampson, and I got them through Nova Live Seafoods, and went in and they taught me how to prepare these.
Yeah.
You can cook them in a body,
Right.
or you break off the legs and just cook the legs without the body.
Okay, so show me how
we'll
you do it.
do the, so it's just a break.
Right, off,
That's ready to go.
and break,
Break.
and ready to go. Perfect.
Ready to go.
Okay, so I'll try this guy. Let's break and off, ready to go. And off, ready to go.
The legs are ready for boiling. They take 12 minutes. Once the water has reached full boiling, you put them in. When they reach full boiling again, exactly 12 minutes, they come off and they're ready to eat.
Well, after a great day on the water on Bredor Lake, we finally arrived here in Ben Eoin, Nova Scotia, in the east arm of the lake. We've had a great day cruising. We've seen some fog in the morning and some fantastic sunshine and calm waters. But we've only seen a small portion of Bredor Lake. After all, this lake is 1,165 square kilometers. But the folks from Boating Cape Breton have arranged for some guests here at the Yacht Club, so we're going to enjoy some crabs and a great barbecue. Hi, I'm Mike Gridley and welcome to PowerBoat Television. They have a saying here in the Maritimes, if you don't like the weather, wait a few minutes. It'll probably change. And of course, it's early morning here on Bredor Lake. We've got some cloud cover, but we hope it's going to improve, but the forecast isn't on our side. But we are going to continue our cruise of Bredor Lake, hopefully ending up this afternoon in Baddeck, Nova Scotia.
Halfway back up East Arm from Ben Eoin are the Indian Islands, another area of sheltered waters and protected bays. The lands are part of the Eskasani-Mi'kmaq First Nation. As we passed through the islands, you could see the traditional wigwams that are part of the Eskasani Cultural Journey program. Past the island and into Crane Cove, the waterfront of Eskasani is dominated by Crane Cove seafoods, so sailors and cruisers anchor out across the bay in a sheltered cove. Shortly after clearing the Indian Islands, the rain came. After scrambling with canvas, we stayed up and planed for the 14 nautical mile run around the headland into Grand Narrows.
Some boating days it rains, some boating days it doesn't. Today we lose.
Just before the bridge, we were more than happy to pull into the old Barra Strait Marina, tie up, and head across the road for coffee. Warmer and now drier, we passed by the old swing bridge and under the highway bridge connecting the village of Grand Narrows with Iona into the part of the lake known as Great Bredor. And yes, the Narrows look much better in the sun. Just 4 nautical miles from the Narrows is Maskell's Harbour, a wonderful anchorage tucked in behind the Gillis Point Lighthouse that guards the point but is no longer operating. The point and a sandbar opposite protect this anchorage from surge off the lake. It's an isolated and great spot for watching wildlife. During our brief stop, we were able to film a bald eagle perched atop a dead pine. Our route from Maskell's took us out and around McKay Point, past Spectacle Island covered in cormorants, around Bone Island, and along the main marked channel for ocean-going ships. Our destination was the Washabuck River. The entrance to the river is past Murphy's Point, and buoys mark the entrance. They say that this is the best hurricane hole you'll find from Newfoundland to the Caribbean. After cruising up this narrow channel, it's easy to buy into that statement. What a great spot to anchor in while whiling away a day exploring and fishing by dinghy. With the clouds remaining and some distance to go before our lunch stop in Whycocomagh, we rejoined the shipping channel heading for Little Narrows. As you pass through the Narrows, keep a watch for the cable ferry. After dodging rain running down Whycocomagh Bay, we arrived at the Waterfront Centre, a former Legion, now a Marine Centre. Once again, Monica of Boating Cape Breton had arranged for some local hospitality, and we were treated to the best seafood chowder I've ever experienced. If you cruise through here, be sure to stop. The source of this delicious mixture of lobster, crab, mussels, fish, and more is Charlene's Bayside Restaurant and Cafe, right across the road from the center.
Well, fortunately, as they say, the weather has been changing. It did stop raining, we've dried out, and the sun's actually trying to break out here as we arrive in Whycocomagh for a bit of a lunch break. So join us later in the show as we continue the cruise on the Bredor Lakes down to Baddeck, Nova Scotia.
Welcome back. Our last stretch to be covered was the run back up the bay and out again to St. Patrick's Bay to our final destination, Baddeck. Despite the on and off rain, the landscape of Cape Breton kept us focused on the sights and not overly so on the weather. Cruising along, it's easy to understand why Cape Breton remains one of the top tourism destinations in the country, and seeing the Bredor Lake region is most assuredly best when viewed from a boat. Our route brought us in from the west, inside of Kidston Island. Along the north shore of the lake, the arrival in the Baddeck area is announced by an increasing number of waterfront homes. Entering Baddeck Harbour, the first marina is Cape Breton Boatyard, a storied facility that had a hand in Alexander Graham Bell's boating experiments, but more on that later. It was interesting to learn that Baddeck was first settled on Kidston Island in the early 1800s, not on the mainland. After weaving our way through the harbour and past the Kidston Island Light, the explanation for all the activity came into view. Colourful spinnakers announced that it was Baddeck Race Week, a major event in the sailing world. While the harbour was hopping, many cruisers prefer to anchor out in Baddeck Bay. The bay extends over 2 miles with several anchorages. The first, known locally as the harbour, is formed by a long sandbar. Further down the bay, Herring Cove to the northeast contains the wreck of Captain Irving Johnson's 92-foot schooner Yankee, as shown on the chart. While we were cruising through, an expedition trawler from Rhode Island was swinging at anchor, testament to the drawing power of Bredor Lake. We were lucky that our host had booked 3 sleeps at Baddeck Marine for us, or we would have been hanging on the hook, unable to get the gang ashore to explore Baddeck. Once secure, I sat down with Patrick to hear what his first impression of Bredor Lake was.
Patrick, it's your first trip here to the Bredor Lakes. What's your impression?
Well, yeah, it is my first trip. I've been told by many boaters to come and explore the Bredor Lake, and it's just fabulous. We've been here for 4 or 5 days now. We've been exploring different coves. Every cove has something unique. Each and every one of them has been special. You go anchor and move on to the next one for lunch and dinner, and something new, something else that you can discover.
Ashore, adjacent to the public wharf, a party was in full swing at the Bredor Yacht Club, both inside and outside in the tents. While wandering the wharf, I caught up with Monica Matheson for a chat.
Oh, the lake is massive. The lake has a lot to offer for any kind of boaters. All along Bredor Lake we have a variety of marinas, facilities. We have all kinds of things to offer for the traveler that wants to spend a day, a weekend, a month, two, from gas to diesel to food to showers, any kind of facilities that they may need.
The picturesque village of Baddeck is the largest settlement on the Bredor Lakes. While not a large village, being at the start and end of the Cabot Trail, it has quite a few shops and restaurants. The big attraction for me was a visit to the Dr. Alexander Graham Bell Historic Site. Well known for inventing the telephone along with a host of other discoveries in medicine and aviation, it was his marine endeavors that I was interested in. Located on a hill overlooking Baddeck, the museum operated by Parks Canada is a wealth of all things Bell. A newer section is home to the reproduction of his breakthrough aircraft, the Silver Dart, first flown on a frozen Bredor Lake in 1909. Along with Canada's first flying machine, there are the remains of Bell's fourth hydrofoil, HD-4, and a replica of it. With its two 350 horsepower aircraft engines and the hull clear of the water on its hydroplanes, it reached a top speed of 113 kilometers per hour, a boating world record in 1919. Truly amazing. Built to be a submarine chaser when the First World War ended, the project was cancelled and the hydrofoil was stripped and abandoned on a beach in Baddeck Bay.
Great destination to finish off, lots to see on shore, lots to do. Most importantly, we've really enjoyed the cruise here. Bredor Lake is absolutely spectacular, fantastic place to come boating. Once you've been around the lake, you understand why UNESCO has declared this a world biosphere to protect it for generations to come. This is one of those locations that for boaters, you have to put on your must boat or must see list. You really have to come to Cape Breton and experience Bredor Lake.